Alleluia. Om Mani Padme. Om. Allah.
Hello and welcome to Harmony in Diversity, a program that endeavours to encourage harmony and diversity across the wide range of faiths and beliefs here in Victoria by showcasing individuals and groups involved in interfaith and multi-faith activities. This is the last episode in our current series. In this episode, we will be hearing from many of the people we have interviewed over the rest of the series and listening to their responses on why they think interfaith contact is important and what they find common to people of all faiths.
I think through engaging with people from other beliefs and religions is very significant for any spiritual person, because that's how we come to understand that deep down inside, we all share the same core values, and that is love and compassion for all sentient beings. That's what we call it in Buddhism. And that's very similar to, say, the Christians, who they say the agape love, which is love for God and love for all. And even with the Muslims, the Sikh religion, everybody deep down inside shares this. And although we have a lot of different beliefs and theories in other aspects, but this is the core value that does not change, and that's very beautiful.
You know, like religion has at times been seen to have been the cause of disunity. So it's it's a wonderful thing to be able to interact with other faiths and to see the similarities between them all. When you're hearing different readings and different quotes from different teachings and different religions, you know, you're being exposed to the fact that they're very, very similar. And the spiritual laws are things that is like a common thread that flows through social laws that change, you know, according to the time in which these teachings were revealed. So it's important in the sense that it breaks down barriers, I suppose.
You know, I often use the analogy of fruit salad in my presentations. Just like different fruits make together a fruit salad and provide nourishment while retaining their original identity, an interfaith alliance, it works exactly the same way. We all need to keep our values and our religious beliefs intact, preserve them, but yet as an interfaith community work together to become a productive group as a whole.
The true Hindu philosophy it is about pluralism at its very core. It doesn't recognize one way of looking at religion, because it understands that throughout the course of human history, as our philosophies have changed throughout culture and time, we come to conceive of this idea of God or something greater than ourselves in many different ways, and that's what religion represents. It represents humanity's different grapplings with this conceptualization that there's something greater to life than just living and dying in this form.
I think the important parts are that we can learn from each other. I think religion is basically not static. Religion is developing and growing as a framework for modern life. It has to be relevant. It has to respond to issues that challenge us today, such as family violence and the White Ribbon Day that's going on at the moment, and such as environmental challenges or pollution or unemployment or financial crises. If religion doesn't talk to those issues which are crucial to people's lives, then what's the point? I would put that in terms of, you know, we might go and pray in our own ways in our synagogues or churches or wherever we do, but if you don't put prayer into practice, what's the point? It has to change us. It has to motivate us. It has to make us better people, or I would say it has to enable us to achieve more of our God-given potential.
I think that all spiritual traditions are really interested in the development and transformation of the individual. And where most individuals are stuck and I'll say pretty much all people are stuck, is a very self-centered approach to life. And that doesn't bring happiness, because it's at odds with the way things are. You know, it's at odds with the way that you're interconnected with others. It's at odds with the way to genuinely sort of develop a happy mind through selfishness. It doesn't work, just practically speaking. So to have compassion enthroned at the center of your religious tradition is an extremely pragmatic, useful way to transform yourself, because it opposes and antidotes directly this self-centeredness, selfishness, which causes all of our suffering. And also, the world is full of real suffering and tragedy. So if our spirituality is disconnected from that, then we have to worry, because spirituality should be answering our own needs, but it should also be trying to answer the needs of the world, thinking beyond just ourselves. You know, it's very, very, very good to go and sit in a cave, you know, and meditate for 10, 20 years. But there's also something absolutely essential with looking beyond yourself, putting another in the place of yourself, and really seeking to help. Because that is really where the rubber hits the road in terms of spirituality. Does it have the ability to really transform you and the society? So I have no gripes with saying that compassion is one of, you know, the, if not the core belief in all spiritual traditions. At least it should be. It should be enthroned as a really, really important thing.
It was the epiphany I had a few weeks ago, is that all of the traditions, they're fundamentally about connection. You know, how do we connect to one another? What is the point of our existence? Why are we here? They give us a framework with which to, I guess, understand life and what it might possibly be about. In terms of our shared values, I think we have several. The need to love and to be loved, I think, would be what every tradition is really about. It's about harmony, and I don't just mean harmony as in living, in harmony with people of different backgrounds. I mean, inner peace and then outer peace. And I think ideas of compassion. Compassion, I think, would probably be the real core, the real tie that binds, to understand that as human beings and as a living being, we all have needs. We all suffer, and we all deserve dignity and respect. And I think that idea of compassion and being able to understand that those needs transcend difference is a core of all traditions. Respect and being another one of those, I would say.
So you think there is definitely a commonality behind all faiths, a common divine element?
Oh, definitely. There is what makes us click, what makes us be who we are. There is, even science have not been able to really pinpoint that explanation. But there is something, we are born, we click, we die. What actually happens, that is a mystery which always will be. And the commonality that we are human beings, we share this planet together. We all are taught to learn how to be honest, to respect each other, to be caring for one another. And these are the commonalities we have. Let's serve, let's live together. That's what I strongly believe.
From a Baha'i point of view, the commonality is definitely that they are all true religions from God and come with a specific purpose to educate humanity for that time and place that those messengers of God came for. So the unity amongst them amongst those messengers of God is incredibly important. And if you really look to the heart of them without kind of disregarding the external forms of the religion, which can be different, the heart of them is very similar. You know, it's about the human soul and the spirit and its progress towards God, and as well as that, how do we live in our world as a spiritual being? How do we develop? How do we get on with each other? So I think that is the one critical point, that we have to see all of the religions as coming from one source. If we don't see that, then I think it's very difficult to be able to come to terms with each other. I think we have to, when we're talking to people of other religions, we have to really be able to be detached from our own ideas and our own preconceptions, to try and free ourselves of that kind of dogmatic interpretation which can blind ourselves to the truth that other religions hold.
Compassion, I think, is the human reaction that certainly comes out of that understanding of that human imperative, yes. Compassion is the thing we share as people of faith. And I'm not saying that people without faith can't be compassionate, but it's a compassion for people of faith that is derived from their faith imperative. It gives shape to expressing their faith. And yes, I think we can describe that commonality as being compassion.
I think there's a belief that human beings are not the top of the tree, if you like. If we adopt the approach that we are the only beings to whom we are necessarily accountable, we're only accountable to ourselves, then I think we're exalting ourselves to a position beyond where we are. I feel that we have a higher level of accountability, and I think a lot of religions believe in exactly the same thing, that we've developed over a substantial period of time, but we are not just simply accountable only to ourselves. We are accountable to the broader community, and we're accountable to perhaps a higher being that we don't profess to really understand. And I think all religions have that concept.
I think most faiths have a concern for justice, for education, for reconciliation. They all care about their families, as you've already indicated. They all have an ethical basis of how we should live. Forgiveness is important. They're all concerned to live in peace and harmony. Just sometimes it gets thwarted along the way. That you can find those places where you can meet and communicate, and it's a spiritual place. It's beyond all the formalities of how we might worship or how we might live, but it's a sacred space.
I said before, I think compassion is at the heart of all faith traditions. I do think there is a call to serve, an altruism, a wish to benefit others. So if we can embrace that and celebrate that, all the better. That's when interfaith is working. When interfaith calls you to be a better Christian or me to be a better Buddhist, that's when it's really working.
What do you think ordinary people can do to promote harmony and understanding amongst the various different faiths?
I think it all starts with the basis of treating people with dignity and respect. I think for far too long in history, we have had a level of suspicion, and that arises out of lack of understanding. And I think if we have just simply to have a level of dialogue with people from other faiths, we realise that they're in fact not all that different at a very basic level than ourselves. All people endeavour to live, I believe, a life of peace and harmony with other people. There are some people who like to have good debates and that sort of thing, but I think most people don't want to live in a state of conflict with people. And getting to know and understand people much better contributes considerably to that. I remember there was an event occurred in Melbourne just after September 11. It was a couple of days later, and there was a Muslim woman who had her head covered with a scarf. She wasn't in the full burqa, but just her head covered, who got on a tram. And one particular guy on the tram got up and told her to get off the tram, and clearly blamed her for the events of September 11. And I thought it was wonderful how a number of other people on the tram actually came to her defence and said, you can't blame her and you can't blame her religion and for the events that happened on September 11. She was not a part of it, and you can't treat her as if she was responsible. And a situation which was developing, which could have ended up in some violence, because I think he was about ready to throw her off the tram physically, managed to calm down, and people then went about their business. But I think the fact that people were willing to defend this particular Muslim woman is an illustration that there's a lot of good in people, and people are able to look at things in a calm and rational way, even in an excited moment like that. And if that means that people will treat other people with dignity and respect, then I think any level of interfaith dialogue which adds to that, I think is then a wonderful thing.
I think that we can promote understanding of other religions and spiritual paths by trying to be open and really trying to break down the ignorance that has developed about other religions often, and the prejudices. You know, I think that we really need to look at other religions without that veil of what we've grown up with, that we think about Islam, or that we think that Christians do, or that other religions, they may sound strange to us, but I think we really need to be able to, search after the truth behind the religions, with a freedom of prejudice and freedom of thought.
I think just really, if you come from a tradition, I think there's this mentality where, because we live in a very secular world, that, we need to leave our religiosity or these values, we check them at home and then we go into our everyday lives. And I find that to be troubling, because we've set up these institutions where the values of compassion, of respect, of understanding, of harmony are seen as being something that we keep to ourselves at home along with our other religious beliefs. And I think with this idea of secularism, it's been obviously a positive in many ways, but we have to understand that our inherent interconnectedness as people living on this planet, we need to figure out how we can bring those values into our everyday lives, into our work, into our jobs, into our relationships, into the way we consume, and the way we live. So I think the everyday person, what you can do for interfaith or for multi-faith is really just live what you believe, and we all talk about these shared values, whether we're secular humanists or we come from a particular religious tradition, to be that, we want love, we want to be treated compassionately, we want to live in respect, and we want to have dignity, is to actually treat everyone. It's such an age-old saying, treat others as you would wish to be treated is the best thing you can really do for interfaith. Because if we all live by those values that all of our traditions talk about, we wouldn't have so many of the problems we have today.
I think if we can all start sharing our rich faith traditions, if we can all appreciate one another. So as a local being, I think it's important for us to learn about one another instead of pointing finger, oh, that woman is wearing a hijab, she might be a Muslim terrorist, or look at me, I many people see me and I'm a Sikh, but they all think I'm Muslim, because, and they'd ask, are you Muslim? I said, no, the Muslims are my brothers and sisters. I'm a Sikh. And that itself becomes quite surprising to people. If we can learn these little basic things about each other, I would like to see in our schools from a very young age, right, from kindergarten, children taught about one another, little things. I'm not saying go and learn theology as such, but understand why a young boy is wearing a turban, or why that girl is not wanting to eat this food. It could because it's non-halal, or the issue of, little things about and the richness that this person looks different than me, but where is she from? What is the language they speak? Those little basic knowledge of each other will become a very rich society. And then respect is what is beginning to miss, I find, in society. Because of the lack of knowledge more than anything else, the fear that the neighbor is different and so he might not be as kind and gentle or honest as one is.
The cheapest thing that anyone can do is to have a smile on his or her face. That will definitely build lots of bridges with other people and start off some very interesting and very worthwhile conversations that will be beneficial to the person who's giving and the person who's taking. So it's important that we get to understand that human beings are the same, or the same needs and same requirements. Hence, it's important that we give and take with other people, dialogue with them, talk with them, and that will make life a lot easier and a lot more understandable rather than it is.
I think by recognizing that unless if there is harmony and unity and understanding in our homes and in our immediate environment, that will never translate into the rest of the community. And I think it's a message that we have overlooked because there is so much family breakdown and so much breakup of relationships in general. So it's important to every day that we get up in the morning to make a pact with ourselves that we are going to forge bonds of unity with people that are around us, whether it's at work, whether it's with members of our family, with people that we come across on our way to work. Any dealings that we have with human beings needs to have that message of oneness and harmony through it. If we all do that in our own private lives, it's inevitable that that harmony will translate into our workplace, from our workplace to the rest of the society, to the nation, and to the world scene. We have to start from home to be able to translate it to the rest.
That's all for our program, both for today and for this series. For more information, and if you want to see this episode again, visit our website, harmonyindiversity.net. We hope to be back with a second series later in the year. Goodbye for now.
Baha'u'llah, Shanti Om.